right, welcome back to our daily read aloud, the classroom at the end of the hall. The last time we read, it was a Halloween party at school, and Clara was the character we heard all about. And what was the deal with Clara? Madeline?
There was this witch, and then she was jealous because she thought she was the best.
Uh-huh. And was the other witch witchier than Clara? Yeah. So Clara was kind of put in her spot because she has to be the best at everything. But what did we find out about that other witch, Angie?
She was real.
She was real. So you think Clara's maybe learned a lesson about bragging?
Yes.
I sure hope so.
Someone out there who's better than you.
All right. Our new section today, we're going to read half of it because it's long. It's called The Purple Reader. So we'll start half today and we'll finish the rest tomorrow. So today we will meet Kenneth, and I think you'll like Kenneth's story.
Nice.
All right, The Purple Reader. Reading was difficult for Kenneth. Ever since first grade, teachers had tried to teach him the sound each letter made, and they tried to teach him how to put those sounds together to form words, and how to put the words together to form sentences. But there were too many sounds for Kenneth to remember, and the words were too long for him to figure out, and the sentences were impossible to understand at all. Reading is screwy, Kenneth often said. What good is reading a book anyway, when you can watch the same story on TV or rent the movie on video? What's the point? So that's an old sentence. It used to be if you wanted to watch a movie, if it wasn't playing on television at a certain time, you had to go to the video store and go find your video, and you'd rent it for like $5 to have it for the week, and then you'd have to take it back like a library book. So when I was a little girl, if we wanted to rent movies, we would have to go to the movie store. So you've all probably never done that. Raise your hand if you've ever been to a video store. So when you were very little, because they're all closed now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to mine and we went to that big red bin. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Red box.
Red box? Yeah, that's kind of a new idea of that idea.
They have it at CVS.
Okay. Shh. As a result, Kenneth was the poorest reader in the room at the end of the hall. Why do you think, okay, so he doesn't like reading, but why do you think he continues to be the worst reader? Cadence? He doesn't know how. What else do you think? Angie?
Thought about that, but this kid kind of reminds me of Trisha.
Oh, yeah, Trisha from Thank You, Mr. Falker. Yeah, good connection. Madeline?
Because he never tries.
Yeah. Isn't that kind of how reading works? If you hate reading and you never open a book and read it, are you going to get any better?
No.
No. We've been working on that idea in here, right? You have to practice in order to get better. Hayden?
You should probably try something new.
He should probably try something new. All right, let's see. His reading level was so low, he didn't fit into either of the two reading groups. Instead, he spent each reading period sitting alone in the reading corner until the tall teacher had time to read with him in an easy-to-read book. You have the ability to be a good reader, the tall teacher often said to Kenneth, but you must put in more effort in trying to improve. Still, Kenneth spent many lonely hours sitting there on the reading corner rug day after day, week after week. One morning, the tall teacher leaned against his desk, looking over his class. Many students were sprawled out on the floor reading the week's weekly reader. Some stood by the classroom's encyclopedias, examining the pictures of the human body. Others had just returned from the library with books tucked under their arms and sat down to read about lions and space and whales and dinosaurs. Okay, people, said the teacher, please put away your books. It's time for reading. Kenneth looked up from his desk. He raked his fingers through the shock of red hair and wiped his nose with the side of his hand. Will the red reading group join me at the reading table, said the tall teacher. The blue reading group should complete the next 2 pages in their workbooks. And Kenneth, I know, said Kenneth, before the teacher had finished his sentence. I'll go read by myself in the reading corner. And he rose from his desk, trudged to the back of the room, and plopped down on the reading corner rug. The reading corner lay under the windows. The windows looked out over the playground. The rug was thick and comfortable, and there were 2 large stuffed pillows to prop up your head if you wanted to lie down. Books filled the 3 long shelves. Most were paperback chapter books, far too difficult for Kenneth to read. And a few picture books on the bottom shelf he had flipped through dozens of times already. It's the same boring picture books day after day, he said, scanning the bottom shelf. I can recite every book on this shelf by heart. He opened a book about magic tricks and tossed it aside. He spent the next 5 minutes staring out the window at kindergartners having recess. He pulled his arms inside his t-shirt and pretended he was a seal. He spent the following 4 minutes unlacing his shoes and relacing them a different way. For the next 7 minutes, he blew saliva bubbles on the tip of his tongue. He checked the clock. Reading period was only half over. So I think we're seeing more evidence as to why Kenneth isn't getting better at reading, right?
Mhm.
Will the blue reading group come to the reading table? Announced the tall teacher. The red reading group should complete the next 2 pages in their workbooks. Kenneth looked toward the reading table. The tall teacher sat at one end with 5 students on each side of him. Howard was reading aloud from the 3rd grade reader. I wonder if I'll ever be allowed out of this reading corner to join a reading group, Kenneth said to himself. Fat chance. If I can't read by this time, I'll never learn to do it. And he lay on his back, staring at a spider swinging from the fluorescent lights. A minute later, Kenneth again scanned the bottom shelf. Now where did I put the Book of World Records, he said to himself. I wonder if there is a record for the longest time spent in the reading corner. As he searched the shelf, his eyes fell on the spine of a book he had never seen before. How screwy, he said. I thought I knew every book on this shelf. The book had a purple leather cover and was thick as a dictionary. Ordinarily, Kenneth would have ignored a fat book like this one, but the big golden letters engraved on the book's spine caught his interest. They said, Kenneth's Purple Reader. This is screwy, said Kenneth. How did my name get on this book? With one finger, Kenneth pulled the purple book off the shelf. It fell onto the shag rug with a thud. He grabbed the cover and flipped the book open. The first page delighted him. One big picture without a single word to read. Leaning forward, he saw that the picture was a watercolor painting of a classroom. How screwy, he said. That's the room at the end of the hall. Leaning farther still, he spotted a boy in the picture, sitting alone in the back corner. The boy had red hair and wore a white t-shirt. Kenneth snatched the book in both hands. That's me, he said, holding the book close to his eyes. How did I ever get into a picture book? Quickly, Kenneth turned the page. Page 2 revealed another large watercolor painting. This one showed a snow-covered playground. Under the picture were 3 lines of writing. Why, that's the playground at W.T. Mellon Elementary, Kenneth said, putting his nose practically on the page. Screwier and screwier. Studying the picture some more, he made out a lone boy standing by the slide. Again, the boy looked remarkably like himself, although he wore an orange down parka much too large for him. That's a big fluffy coat. Kenneth's attention turned to the 4 lines of writing at the bottom of the page. The first word was easy enough to read. Kenneth. He squinted at the next word. He always squinted while trying to figure out a new word. Arrived. That's the word, he said. Kenneth arrived. Kenneth arrived at school. Here he lowered the book and took a deep breath, as if exhausted by all the reading he had done. He raised it again and tackled the next sentences. Snow covered the playground. Kenneth was mad because he had to wear an ugly coat to school. Kenneth set down the purple reader and rose to his knees. He looked out the window at the playground. Except for some brown leaves blowing across it, the asphalt was bare. What's this book talking about, he said. Not a flake of snow had fallen on the playground all year, and that boy in the picture couldn't be me. I'd never be caught dead wearing an orange, ugly parka to school. Again, Kenneth turned the page, but page 3 was blank. Flip, 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 the rest of the book was blank as well. Screwier and screwier, he said, snapping the book shut. Time to take a nap until the teacher calls on me. Kenneth forgot about the purple reader for the rest of the day. That night, it snowed 1.5 feet. When Kenneth walked down to breakfast, he found an orange parka hanging on the back of his chair. I'm sorry, Kenneth, but your winter coat is still in the attic, said his mother. It is very cold outside, so you will have to wear your father's down parka to school. I know it's a little large on you, but it will have to do for today. As you might expect, Kenneth threw a major temper tantrum. But when the school bus pulled up in front of the house, he had no choice but to grab the old orange coat and race outside. The bus rolled up in front of W.T. Mellon Elementary School. The second the door folded open, Kenneth bounded down the stairs. Overnight, a thick quilt of snow had covered the playground. Icicles hung from the school's gutters like fangs. A layer of white sheathed the jungle gym, swings, and merry-go-round, and each tetherball pole wore a white top hat. Being the first one off the bus, Kenneth got to make the first tracks across the snow-covered asphalt. I look like a giant pumpkin in this parka, he grumbled, stopping by the slide. That's when the picture in the purple reader dawned on him. 3 snowballs whizzed past his head as he thought, how screwy. It happened exactly the way the purple book said it would. The book said it would snow, and it said I would wear this orange coat to school. And look, here's the snow and here's the stupid coat. The morning bell interrupted Kenneth's thoughts, and he charged toward the school door. And that is where we'll stop. All right, friends, I will see you later.
Party time.